All right, so here we're gonna go over how we solve literal equations. And literal equations are basically just equations that are written as formulas. So don't get thrown off by having a lot of variables because that tends to scare students. Just remember the variables represent numbers. So treat them as if they are numbers, multiply, divide, add, and subtract. And don't feel uncomfortable when your answer looks kind of weird looking because that's usually what's going to happen. Anyway, so we're going to solve each of these literal equations for x. So here for 7, we're going to factor out an x from both 4x and 5xy. So what you get here is g being equal to x times a 4 plus a 5y. So think of this as like backwards distribution. Like it's called factoring, but if you were to multiply both the 4 and 5y by x, you would end up with 4x plus 5xy. Now you're going to divide by the 4 plus 5y. We're going to divide by this whole group. This goes away, and then your answer becomes that g over 4 plus 5y is equal to x. So that's your answer for 7. Let's look at number 8, and I'm going to work 8 over here so I have more room. Again, we're solving for x, so we're going to factor out an x from 4ax and 9x. So we'll have w equals x times the quantity of 4a minus 9. Again, think of it as like backwards or like reverse distribution, but you're factoring out an x. So now you just divide by this group in the parentheses. So we're going to divide both sides by 4a minus 9. You don't technically have to write the 4a minus 9 in parentheses. I like to do it because it lets me see more clearly that it's a group. And this will cancel. And then you'll get that w over 4a minus 9 is equal to x. And that's your answer. All right, let's look at number 9. So again, we're going to solve for x. Now here, before we factor out the x, we're going to subtract this 2 from both sides. So we're going to take away 2 from each side. And I'm gonna go around here. So we'll have z minus 2 equals 6x plus px. Now I'm going to factor out an x from 6x and px. So I have a z minus 2 equals an x times 6 plus p. Then I divide by the 6 plus p. Again, I prefer to put the group in parentheses just so it's more easy to visualize how it cancels, because then all you have left on the right is x, and on the left you'll have z minus 2 all over 6 plus p. And that'll be your answer. And let's look at number 10. Right, number 10 we have x in these two terms, but we don't have an x included in the first term here. So what we're going to do is subtract the 10 from both sides to begin with. And so I'm going to have t minus 10 equals 7x minus qx. And let me zoom down here. So t minus 10 equals 7x minus qx. Now I can factor out an x from the 7x and qx. So I have a t minus 10 equals x times a 7 minus q. Again, think of it as like backwards distribution, because if I did x times 7, I'll get that, and x times negative q would be that. Now I just divide by this group. 7 minus q. And then my answer will look, again, it's going to look a little weird, but just trust it. You have t minus 10 over 7 minus q is equal to x.